Hey everyone, I'm in a very windy Palm Springs area, Coachella Valley, Santa Rosa, San Jacinto Wilderness, and in this video I'm going to show you how to hike the Boo Hoff Trail. It's a loop, a little over 12 miles, about 2,500 feet of climbing. I really like it because it gets you away from the crowds on the busier trails, closer to Palm Springs, and you go into the wilderness area here where you really feel like you are in another world. There's a little bit of a climb, so you get great views. You can see from the Salton Sea to San Jacinto, San Gorgonio, and it's just a really beautiful loop hike. Now, if you want to do it, as always, I have a full guide on Hiking Guy where I'll talk about exact distances, maps, parking, all the logistics, so check that out. If you're on YouTube, there's a link to that underneath the video. And another big thank you for all of your support, for everyone who supported me over the years in any which way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not do these without you, so hopefully you enjoy this video and you get to enjoy this hike too. And if you're liking the video, if you could give me a thumbs up, I appreciate that as well. All right, let's hit the trail so I can show you this pretty cool hike. All right, so we're going to start from the Cove parking lot, and it's kind of confusing because there's also a Cove Oasis parking lot, but this is the trailhead right here. That's a pretty massive parking lot with probably the nicest bathroom I've ever seen at a parking lot. Trailhead parking lot at least, but we're going to continue along the road here, and these beginning parts are a little confusing because there's a lot of used trails, but we're going to bear to the left when we get over here, and you'll see the trail up ahead in the distance and some water tanks. That's where we're going, up there. Now the nice thing about this is it's really well marked. You can see it said Boo Hoff there and Cove to Lake Trail. We're going out on Boo Hoff and we're coming back on Cove to Lake. Now after a short while, you'll see a trail branching off to the right. We're not going to take that. We're going to instead go straight and downhill here. And once you go downhill, the trail kind of splits. It's going to go off to the right up there. To the left is a water tank. You would dead end anyway. And you'll see, again, we have our friendly little trail signs there that say Boo Hoff Trail, which is great. Now we're going to continue up here, and we're going to come up to like a little ridge, a little berm, and you'll see we're entering the National Monument and the wilderness here. There's no dogs past this point because of the bighorn sheep. And we're just going to go to the bottom, and you can see there's a trail sign over there, but we're just going to go to the bottom, and we're going to go straight through. But when we come back on a loop, we're going to come back over here on the left. We're going to come back, that's the Cove to Lake Trail, and that's the one we're going to come back on. But for now, we're just going to go down to the junction and come on straight through and then go on to the Boo Hoff Trail. And you'll see here now the trail sign only says Boo Hoff, which is a good thing. The beginning is a little bit confusing with all the twists and turns, but anyway, we're going to continue up here. You can see there's a lot of trail markers, really beautiful. You're going to feel like you're in the wilderness at this point as you hike sort of gradually uphill up the wash here. Here's a trail coming in from the Cove Oasis trailhead, a little used trail. And basically in the beginning, the trail kind of pops in and out of the wash below. And it can be a little confusing. There's a lot of mountain bike trails and, footprints going off trail and used trails. But if you follow the signs, they're always there to point you in the right direction. Here you can see there's definitely trails going straight or tracks going straight, but the trail is kind of easy to spot. It kind of hooks around to the right here. And it helps to have a GPX file on your GPS. And you can see here there's a trail off to the right. These aren't marked trails. It was windy. You can see this trail sign blew down. I tried to put those back up, but it didn't work. Anyway, probably about 2.5 miles in or so, we're going to climb out of the wash one last time, and you'll see the iconic Boo Hoff Trail sign. There's a lot of these down here in the Palm Springs area. I'm going to start the climb from here. This is a little trail counter. Interesting fact, see that American flag? If they put an American flag on it, people don't vandalize it. But if there's no flag, they do vandalize it. But you can see right away we're in the foothills here. It's beautiful, rugged territory as we continue to climb uphill. And it's pretty steep. I mean, it's not crazy steep, but you are going to have to work for it. Probably going to do about, I don't know, maybe 1,600 feet of climbing. And towards the middle of the climb, we're going to get some switchbacks. You can see there's an old dry waterfall straight ahead, but we're going to get some switchbacks. And as you go up, you're going to get these great views back down to La Quinta Cove, where we started. But a really pretty section. This might be my favorite part of the hike here, going up these switchbacks. You can see as we climb up, the views get a little bit better.
You can see over the little San Bernardinos and Joshua Tree across the valley over there. And as we get higher, we'll be able to see the high peaks of Southern California and also the Salton Sea as we climb up here. Now up here where this big cairn is, you can see the Salton Sea poking through over there. And then back to the left, I guess, there's a little vista point. There's a couple of these along the way, and I'll mark them in the GPX file. But if you don't want to do the loop, this is actually a decent place to turn around. You can see it's still well marked as we go up here. And continue climbing just a little bit, and then we come up to the saddle right here. There's still trail markings, and you can see straight ahead is the Salton Sea. That's all the dust that's getting kicked up by the high winds that were happening on the day that I shot this, but really nice views from here. And now we're going to start the descent down through this teddy bear cholla here, these cactus, a lot of barrel cacti around. But from here we're going to have a nice long cruisy descent, and you can see it just sort of winds down in front of us. We're going to descend for almost half of this loop hike down here. Really nice, not too hard on the knees as we go. But it's rocky, obviously it's the desert, you're going to want proper footwear, and having trekking poles will help you a bit as we go down. Now as we do this descent, there's several of these wash crossings. We're going to come into a wash, maybe go down a little bit, and then come back out on the other side. Again, well marked, you can see all the stones over there, and if you have navigation with you, if you have electronic navigation like a GPX, these aren't a problem. I love this section too. You can see all the erosion and canyons down here. We're heading down towards a wider canyon called Devil Canyon that we're going to descend down in a little bit, but this is really spectacular landscape. That's Devil Canyon straight ahead, that big wash down there, and that's where we're going to eventually end up as we continue on the descent over here. After winding down a little bit, we're going to see the second trail sign for the Boo Hoff Trail, which is right here. And the Boo Hoff Trail is actually longer than the distance between these signs, but the signs are sort of in the classic style here in the middle of the desert, kind of farther out. Now from here we're just going to follow the wash downhill, and it splits apart and stuff. Whatever way you go is fine. Eventually you're going to come back out to this boundary with the wilderness area. That sign over there is an old little trail sign for the Santa Rosa Wilderness. And here's a wilderness area sign. You can see the bullet holes in it. That does not have an American flag on it, so people feel free to vandalize it. Now we're going to follow the road straight down. You can see there's a bunch of side trails and horse trails and 4x4 trails around here, but we're just going to stay on the main road and continue this nice long cruisy downhill. And this isn't the prettiest section, but there are going to be some pretty sections coming soon. Here you can see there's another sign for Boo Hoff. That's the first one, and since probably the metal sign that was back there. But we're going to continue back down here, and then eventually we're going to come up to a development on the left. You can see that wall over there. That's the Quarry golf course. I think it's called the Quarry at La Quinta. But it's a famous golf course with some houses in there. And then we continue straight. We're going to come up to the road. And that's going to be kind of tricky. We're going to go straight across that blacktop road. Over there is the entrance to the fancy neighborhood. And then straight ahead on Jefferson Street here is the continuation of the loop. Now this is the least nice part of it. The nice thing about it is that you can see there are sandy parts on the side where you can walk to avoid the traffic, but it's not super far. And if you look into the mountains, it looks nice from here. And we're going to go up here until we get to the park entrance, the Lake Cahuilla park entrance. We're going to make the left onto this little use trail. And we're going to follow the edge of the development at the quarry along the side. You can see over there all the lush greenery inside of the development. And if you look back from here, we could see there's the lake. Now the lake is not, I think that's a man-made lake. In older times, that lake basically spanned, I think, most of the Salton Sea. Now you're going to see a sign for the Mar Trail. This is actually the Cove to Lake Trail, and we're going to head up the wash here and then head out of the wash, and we're going to take the Cove to Lake. You can see it's marked again all the way back to the start. We're going to start to climb up. Eventually we're going to pop out of the wash and head up onto the ridge. And again, you can see it's well marked, and by this point we've left the road and most of the civilization behind. We are going to see some of the golf course, which is pretty spectacular, even if you're not into golf, in a second here. But we're going to climb up, and here you can see as we go along the ridge, there is the golf course called the Quarry. Now this golf course, I'm not sure if it's this exact part, I think it is, but it's been one of the only golf courses voted in the top 100 by Golf Digest since the list started in 1994. Really beautiful course, members only, of course. After being on the ridge, we're going to pop down alongside of the green here, go for a while, and then we're going to, you can see there's the course. We're going to go back up into the hills here. You can see some trail runners ahead of me. Now at this split, you can go either way. The official trail's on the right, but if you go up to the left, there's a little sculpture of a horse. Then we're up on the ridge again, and then we're going to head back down. And this turn's easy to miss because it's sort of hidden behind the ridge here, but we are going to go downhill. You're going to want to look for this. And we are going to go back downhill into the wash and then continue up until the end of the canyon. And you can see here we're back in the wash. The sandy soil can be tough, especially if you're not used to hiking this distance, but after this we're pretty much done with these uphill wash sections. Here you can see there's another trail sign, and then if you look up in the distance in front of us, just off to the left there, you can see the trail heading up on the mountain, and that's where we're going to go. Mountain, we'll call it a hill, it's not a mountain. And basically that's going to be our last little hill as we climb up here. Again, really, really beautiful as we come up. You're definitely, you don't feel like you're close to civilization here. You feel farther away than you probably are. And then when we come up to the ridge, you can see the scenery is still beautiful. Lots of rock formations, erosions, all the typical stuff that you see here in the desert. Then when we crest that climb, if you look straight ahead in the distance, you'll be able to see the Cove trailhead and the water tanks where we are, and that's where we're going, and we're going to finish up the hike. And once we cross over here, we go back down a little bit, and now we're down in the wash. We just follow the trail, which again is well marked and signed and well taken care of. But we're going to follow the trail all the way back to the junction where we came down and started the Boo Hoff Trail. Now this is the one where we came up on the berm, and there was the sign for the National Monument right up there. And we're just going to go back up that ridge and then head back down from there past the water tanks and then back to the start. And that's the hike. It's right ahead there past those water tanks. So let me show you what this looks like on a 3D map here. We're going to do it, it's a lollipop shape. We're going to do it counterclockwise. You could really do it any way you want, but I like going up this way because the descent is nice and long and not so steep to go down. And we're going to start down here at the Cove Oasis. Sorry, no, the Cove Trailhead, not the Cove Oasis. This is the Cove Trailhead. This is the Cove Oasis here. There's the Cove Oasis. This is the one you can take up to some other oasis points up there. I have some more guides for trails up here on the website if you want to do that. But you can see in the beginning, there's a ton of all of these use trails. People walk their dogs and exercise here, so it can get a little confusing. But the Boo Hoff Trail, like I showed you earlier, is all well marked. We're going to come around. Here's a lot of these twists and turns. We're going to pass the water towers right here. And then this is that berm we came up on, and we ended up going straight to go up the Boo Hoff. When we come back down, we're going to come back on the Cove to Lake Trail. And here you can see we're climbing up the wash. This change in color here is just from different satellite photos. It's not anything geographical, but you can see we make our way up the wash, in and out. Here's the trail sign, and now we're starting to climb in earnest. And if I go down a little bit, you can kind of get a better idea of the gradient here. You can see it is a substantial climb to get up there, but let's pop back out. And as we come up here, there's a couple different viewpoints, and if we turn around here, you can see down into here's the Salton Sea right over there, Coachella Valley, Little San Bernardino's Joshua Tree is over here, and if we swing around over here, there's San Gorgonio and there's San Jacinto. So lots to see as we do this climb. But anyway, here we go. We come up to the top. We've gotten to the crest of the trail right here. And now we start this nice long cruisy descents. This was where all the cacti were, all the teddy bears were in here. And we have this meandering descent that crosses the washes. Here's a wash. You can see we go down. There's a wash. There's a wash, 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 wash. We're going to come down to Devil Canyon right there. This was the entrance where that other trail sign, the other wrought iron trail sign was. And now we are going down through the wash. This is still the Boo Hoff Trail, all the way down, kind of twist around until we get to the fancy development and golf course, which is right here. We go around the golf course. There's the lake, which is a county park, and we're going to head up from there, kind of skirt the park here. This is that turn off from the road, and now we're up on the wash. And here, remember, we saw the greens right there where we're up on the ridge. Here we are up and down the ridge, following it all the way to the end of the canyon right there, up that little climb. And then once we crest this ridge, there's that cool sort of geographical formation, that little depression that we saw earlier. But anyway, from there, we're going to go back down, follow the trail, and then here was the turn off back to up to the berm, and then we're going to go back down to the Cove Oasis right there. So that's the hike. I do have a lot of other hikes in the area, so if you want to do some other ones or a shorter one or a longer one, I have all of those options for you on HikingGuy.com. Anyway, guys, I'll see you out in the trails.